Alaikum wa rahmatullah. Today, inshallah, we're going to solve Cambridge exam May-June 2023, paper 23. Let's start it. Question 1. Nitrogen is heated in a balloon which expands slightly. Which statement about molecules of nitrogen are correct? They move further apart. Of course, this is correct because the balloon expands. And they move more quickly. As we heat the balloon, the nitrogen molecules gain kinetic energy and, of course, move quicker or faster. So this is also correct. And we have 1 and 2 correct statements. So the answer will be A. Question 2. The diagram represents some elements, compounds, and mixtures. Which row describes the numbered substance? Here we have number 1, it's a compound. 2 different types of atoms joined together chemically, so it's a compound. Number 2, we have 2 different compounds, this one and this one. The atoms joined chemically, so we have a mixture of compound. Number 3, the 2 atoms are the same, so it's an element. 3 is an element. Here in 4 we have 2 different atoms. This one is different from the black one, so it's a mixture of element. So the correct answer will be B. Number 1 is a compound, 2 is mixture of compounds, 3 is an element, and 4 is a mixture of elements. Question 3. 2 atoms X and Y have the same mass number. The mass number is the sum of the neutron and proton in the nucleus of an atom. So they have the same mass number but different atomic number. Atomic number means the number of protons. Which statement about X and Y is correct? They have the same number of protons. This is of course wrong. It is mentioned here that they have different atomic number. They have the same number of electrons. This is of course also wrong because the number of protons equal to the number of electrons, so they have different electrons also. They are in the same group in the periodic table. This is of course wrong. They have the different number of neutrons. This is correct because if they have the same mass number, different proton means the number of neutrons is also different, so the correct answer will be D. Question 4. A sample of pure iron contains 3 isotopes only. We have 3 isotopes. The first one, I don't know the mass of the first one, but we know the percentage. It's 2%. The second isotope have a relative atomic mass of 54 and 6%. The third isotope 56 and 92%. So to calculate the relative atomic mass, we will multiply the mass of each isotope by its percentage, adding them together, divide by 100. Here it is already given the relative atomic mass for iron, which is 55.9. So 55.9 equal to the mass of the first isotope, which is N, times the percentage, plus mass times the percentage of the second isotope, plus the mass times the percentage of the third isotope, all divide 100. So we will multiply 100 by 55.9 and then subtract these two numbers from 5590 to get the value of N, which is 57. So the relative atomic mass for the first isotope, or the value of N, will be 57, and the answer is C. Question 5. Magnesium oxide is a white solid at room temperature and pressure. Part of the structure of the solid magnesium oxide is shown as magnesium is a black ion and oxide ion is the white one. 3 statements are listed. Magnesium ion are smaller than oxide ion because they contain fewer electrons. Magnesium atom has 12 electrons, 2A2, so it loses 2 electrons to form magnesium ion with electronic configuration 2,8. So now magnesium has 10 electrons. The oxygen atom has electronic configuration of 2,6. After gaining 2 electrons to form the oxide ion, it has the electronic configuration of 2,8, so it has a total of 10 electrons. So both have the same number of electrons. That's why statement 1 is wrong. Magnesium oxide has a good electrical conductivity when molten because the ions are mobile. Magnesium oxide is an ionic compound. Of course, when molten, the ions are free to move, so statement 2 is correct. Magnesium oxide has high melting point because the strong electrostatic force between the ions and the delocalized electrons in the giant lattice. This is wrong because the electrostatic force here in ionic compound between the positive and negative ions, there is no delocalized electrons, so statement 3 is also wrong. The only correct statement is 2, the only correct statement is 2, and the answer is D. Question 6. In which molecule are the outer shell electrons involved in the covalent bonding? Here, nitrogen in group 5, it has 5 outer shell electrons. It only shares 3 with 3 hydrogen, so not all the outer shell electron involved in the bonding. Chlorine is in group 7. It has 7 outer electrons. Only it shares 1 electron with hydrogen, so not all the outer shell electrons are involved. Here also again, chlorine only share 1 electron between from each chlorine atom, so again not all the outer shell electrons are involved. Here carbon from group 4, it has 4 outer shell electrons and it can share 4 electrons, 1 with each hydrogen atom, and the hydrogen share the only electron it has with the carbon atom. So in methane, all the outer shell electron involved in the bonding, and the correct answer is B. Question 7. Which row describes the properties of silicon oxide? Silicon 4 oxide is a giant covalent structure. So here the first column is correct, giant covalent structure, and it has a high melting point. So the correct answer is C. Question 8. Which row describes the structure of solid metal and explain why it has this property? Structure of solid metal, lattice of negative ions, this is wrong, and B also wrong because the structure of metal is a lattice of positive ion. So this one, lattice of positive ion, but statement C is incorrect because conduct electricity, the ions are free to move. This is wrong. In metals, the delocalized electrons are free to move, and that's why metal conduct electricity. So statement C is also wrong. D, the lattice of positive ion in a sea of electron, this is a correct structure. It is malleable because the layers of ion can slide over each other, and this is also correct. So for a statement to be correct, it has to be correct in the 2 columns or in both columns. The correct answer is D. Question 9. What is the formula of potassium oxide? Of course, it is K2O, and the answer is D. Question 10. Dilute aqueous solution of potassium bromide is electrolyzed using inert electrode. Which row identify the product of the cathode and at the anode? Here we have dilute aqueous solution of sodium bromide. Of course, sodium is highly reactive metal. It will not discharge at the cathode. Hydrogen ions will gain 2 electrons to form hydrogen gas, and at the anode, because we have a diluted solution, so bromide ion will not be in enough concentration, hydroxide ion will lose 4 electrons to form oxygen gas. So the oxygen will be produced at the anode and the hydrogen at the cathode, and the correct answer will be C. Question 11. Aluminium is extracted by electrolysis as shown. Which row describes or shows the ionic half equation at the cathode and at the anode? At the cathode, we have aluminium ions because they are positive ions. They gain 3 electrons to form aluminium metal. And at the anode, the oxide ion form oxygen gas. So the correct statement will be C. Question 12. The reaction pathway diagram for an exothermic reaction is shown. It is an exothermic reaction, so the reactant are at higher energy level than the product. So of course here number 1 will be the reactant and 4 will be the product. The difference between the reactant and the product is delta H, and this hump represents of course the activation energy for the reaction. So 1 will be the reactant, 2 is the delta H, 3 is the activation energy, and 4 is the product. The correct answer will be A. Question 13. The equation for the complete combustion of ethene is shown. Some bond energies here are listed in the table. What is the overall energy change when 1 mole of ethene is completely burned? I first draw the detailed structure to count the number of bonds in each of the reactant and the product, and then we will first calculate the energy absorbed to break the bonds of the reactant. We have 1 carbon-carbon double bond, which is 612, and 4 hydrogen-carbon bond, which is 412, so I multiply by 4, and we have 3 oxygen double bond, so I multiply 496 also, 3 oxygen double bond, so I multiply by 3, and the total energy absorbed will be 3748. Then we will calculate the energy released. We have 2 carbon oxygen double bond times 2, so they will be 4 times 743. Then we have also 2 oxygen hydrogen times 2, so we will have again 4 bonds between the oxygen and hydrogen. The total energy released will be 4824, and the delta H will be the energy absorbed to break the bond minus the energy released. It will be minus 1076, and the answer will be B. Question 14. Magnesium reacts with hydrochloric acid to form magnesium chloride and hydrogen. Why does magnesium powder react faster than magnesium ribbon? The magnesium atom in the powder have lower activation energy. This is wrong. And the powder has a smaller surface area. Of course, this is wrong because the powder has a larger surface area. The magnesium atom in the powder have more frequent collision with the acid particle. Of course, increasing the surface area means more surface available for the reactant to collide with each other. That means more frequent collision. So statement C is correct. The answer is C. Question 15. Which row shows the condition used in contact process? As we know, in contact process, the catalyst is vanadium pentaoxide, and we need 2 atmospheric pressure with a temperature 450 degrees Celsius. So the answer is C. Question 16. A student heat hydrated copper sulfate and the blue crystal change to white powder. How can the student reverse the reaction? We know that the anhydrous copper sulfate, which is white, can be converted again to blue by adding water to the white powder, so the answer will be B. Question 17. Which reaction of hydrochloric acid is a redox reaction? A redox reaction is the reaction in which oxidation and reduction both happen in the same reaction. So checking the oxidation state of magnesium, chlorine and hydrogen, we will find the only oxidation reduction or the only redox reaction will be here. Magnesium here is a metal, so the oxidation state is 0. Change it to a +2 here in magnesium chloride, and here in hydrogen chloride the oxidation number of hydrogens +1, change it to 0 in hydrogen molecule, so the correct answer will be D. Question 18. Which oxide is amphoteric? Aluminium oxide is the amphoteric oxide, so the answer will be A. Question 19. 4 statements about strong acids are listed. They react with carbonate to form carbon dioxide. This is correct. They completely dissociate in aqueous solution. This is also correct. They react with ammonium salt to form ammonia. This is wrong. This is for strong alkali. They are proton acceptor. This is of course wrong because acids are proton donor. So the only correct statements are 1 and 2, and the answer will be A. Question 20. Which reaction mixture will produce a precipitate? Here we have the reaction between aqueous sodium carbonate and aqueous copper sulfate will produce copper carbonate, and all carbonates are insoluble, so copper carbonate is a precipitate, and the correct answer will be A. Sulfuric acid with sodium hydroxide will produce sodium sulfate, which is soluble. It is not a precipitate. Nitric acid with magnesium oxide will also produce magnesium nitrate, which is soluble. Copper oxide with sulfuric acid will produce copper sulfate, which is soluble also, so the only precipitate will be copper carbonate, and the answer is A. Question 21. Which set of elements show a change from metallic to non-metallic character across the period? Across a period in the periodic table. So here, starting from beryllium is in group 2, and also magnesium and calcium, so this is not correct. Moving from fluorine, bromine, iodine, these are all non-metal, so this is also wrong. Changing from oxygen to boron to lithium, this is the reverse, from non-metal to metal. Finally, sodium, silicon, and chlorine is showing the change from metal to non-metal across a period, so the answer will be D. Question 22. A sample of ethanoic acid and a sample of hydrochloric acid have the same concentration. How do the hydrogen ion concentration and the pH of ethanoic acid compare to those of hydrochloric acid? Ethanoic acid is a weak acid, so it will have higher pH, and of course the hydrogen ion concentration will be less than hydrochloric acid. So for the hydrogen ion concentration, it will be lower and the pH will be higher. The answer is C. Question 23. What is a typical property of transition metal? Transition metal can act as a catalyst, so the answer is A. Question 24. Which statement about copper and aluminium is correct? Aluminium is more dense than copper. This is wrong. Aluminium, of course, has lower density than copper. Aluminium is less reactive than copper. Of course, this is wrong. Aluminium is higher in the reactivity series than copper. Copper has high ductility. It is used to make electrical wires, so this is correct. Copper has poor electrical conductivity, and this is also wrong. The correct statement is C. Question 25. Water from a reservoir flow to the waterworks for purification. Process 1 takes place, followed by process 2. What are process 1 and 2? For purification of water, first we will make filtration to remove the insoluble solid from water, then chlorination to kill bacteria. So the correct answer is B. Question 26. Calcium reacts with cold water to produce hydrogen. Lead reacts slowly when heated in air to form oxide, but has almost no reaction with steam. Silver doesn't react with either air or water, and zinc reacts when heated with steam to produce hydrogen gas. So calcium is more reactive than zinc, and zinc is more reactive than lead, and the least reactive will be silver. Here we have to order the 4 metals from the least reactive to the most reactive. As we said, silver is the least reactive, followed by lead, then zinc, and the most reactive will be calcium. The correct answer is C. Question 27. Blocks of magnesium are attached to the bottom of a steel boat to prevent rusting. Which equation describes a change that prevents steel from rusting? Magnesium can prevent steel from rusting because magnesium is more reactive than iron, so it will ionize in preference of iron, or will ionize and lose electrons instead of iron. So the correct equation will be for the ionization of magnesium. Magnesium lose 2 electrons to form magnesium ions, and the answer will be D. Question 28. Which statement about the extraction of iron in the blast furnace are correct? The temperature inside the blast furnace increased by burning carbon. This is correct statement. Iron oxide is reduced to iron by carbon monoxide. This is also correct. The thermal decomposition of calcium carbonate form slag. Of course, this is wrong. The thermal decomposition of calcium carbonate produces calcium oxide, which react with the silicon oxide to form slag. Slag react with acidic impurities, and this is of course wrong. We have 2 correct statements, 1 and 2, and the answer is A. Question 29. Which statement about water are correct? Tap water has fewer impurities than distilled water. This is of course wrong. Tap water will turn anhydrous cobalt chloride pink. This is correct statement because the cobalt chloride change from blue to pink by adding water. The domestic water supply is treated with carbon to kill microbes. This is of course wrong. It is treated with chlorine to kill microbes or to kill bacteria. Phosphate from fertilizers can cause deoxygenation of water. This is correct because fertilizers enhance the growth of algae, which absorb oxygen from the water, so the water becomes deoxygenated. So we have two correct statements, 2 and 4, and the answer will be C. Question 30. Oxides of nitrogen formed in car engines are removed by catalytic converter. Which equation represents a reaction that occurs in the catalytic converter? Catalytic converter remove the harmful gases or convert the harmful gases into less harmful or normal gases. So it converts the nitrogen monoxide and the carbon monoxide into nitrogen gas and carbon dioxide. So the equation will be, the correct answer will be B. Carbon monoxide plus nitrogen monoxide form nitrogen and carbon dioxide. Question 31. An alkene is represented by the formula CH3CH double bond CH2. Which name is given to this type of formula? Showing the formula of the compound this way, it is called the structural formula. Question 32. What is the structure of propanoic acid? Propanoic acid, prop means it has 3 carbons and oic means it has a carboxylic group COOH. So here we have 1, 2, 3 carbon with the carboxylic group. So this is the correct structure of propanoic acid and the answer is A. Question 33. Butane react with chlorine in the presence of ultraviolet light for radiation, ultraviolet radiation. What is the equation of this reaction? The reaction between butane and chlorine in the presence of ultraviolet light is a substitution reaction where one hydrogen is substituted by chlorine. So this is the structure of butane, C4H10. One hydrogen will be substituted by chlorine, so the formula will be C4H9Cl. And the other chlorine from the other chlorine atom from the chlorine molecule will form HCl. Hydrogen chloride will be formed. So the answer will be C4H9Cl plus hydrogen chloride. The answer is B. Question 34. A hydrocarbon P is cracked to make compound Q and oxygen. So hydrocarbon B is an alkane because alkane can be cracked to form alkene. Q is an alkene, and then compound R is formed by the addition polymerization of Q. So again compound R will be alkane because the polymer made only from single bond. So to which homologous series do B, Q and R belongs? As I said, B and R are alkane and only Q is alkene, so the correct answer will be B. Question 35. Which substances are structural isomers? Structural isomers are compounds having the same molecular formula but different structure. Here we have butene and propene. Bute means it has 4 carbons, propene has 3 carbons, so these two compounds have no similar structure or similar molecular formula. Here we have propene and butene, also the same 3 carbon and 4 carbons, so different molecular formula. We have B and C, so I drew the structure to compare between ethyl ethanoate and butanoic acid, and also I draw C here, methyl methanoate and ethanol. This is the structure of ethyl ethanoate and butanoic acid. As we can see here, they have the same molecular formula, C4H8O2, but for the methyl methanoate and ethanol, we have different molecular formula, so the only correct statement will be B. The structural isomers, ethyl, ethanoate, and butanoic acid. Question 36. Ethanol is produced by catalytic addition of steam to ethene and by fermentation. Which statement is correct? Both processes are similar, use similar amount of energy. This is of course wrong because fermentation uses very little amount of energy. It's only done at 37 to 40 degrees Celsius. Both processes use a catalyst. This is correct. In fermentation, we are using catalyst also because the enzymes of the yeast is a catalyst in this process. Process 1 uses temperature 25 to 35. This is wrong. And process 2 uses the pressure 60 atmospheric pressure. This is of course wrong. It's only fermentation under the normal atmospheric pressure. So the only correct statement is B. Question 37. The two monomers are shown can be used to form a condensation polymer, which is the small molecule released during the reaction. As we can see, the first molecule is dicarboxylic acid and the second one is diamine. So the molecule is formed, the polymer is formed by removing one molecule of water to form the amide linkage. The small molecules will be water and the answer is A. Question 38. Dilute hydrochloric acid is titrated into a conical flask containing sodium hydroxide solution and few drops of methyl indicator. So we will have sodium hydroxide in the flask and of course the hydrochloric acid will be in the purette. So the answer is B. Question 39. The chromatogram obtained from chromatography experiment for a substance S is shown. What is the RF value of S? Here we have S, so we will first determine the distance moved by spot from S from the baseline to the spot. This will be 6 centimeters, and then the distance moved by the solvent, which is the distance from the baseline till the solvent front, which is here 6 plus 4.7, it will be 10.7. The RF value is the distance moved by the sample divide the distance moved by the solvent. 6 divide 10.7, it will be 0.56. So the answer is C. Question 40. Element X burns in air to form an acidic gas that decolorizes potassium manganate. So what is X? We know that sulfur burns in oxygen to form sulfur dioxide, which is acidic oxide, and the test for sulfur dioxide gas is that it decolorizes potassium manganate. So the answer is D. Here we come to the end of our exam. Like the video and subscribe to the channel to receive all the updates. Comment down below if you have any question. Thank you for watching. Wish you all best of luck.